Hey everyone, I'm talking to the cast of Mine 9. I am very lucky, I would say, today because I have the entire cast and the director, creator, Eddie Mensore. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Thank you.
Doing well, thank you.
So I saw the movie, and it's a combination of a drama, a thriller, even a little bit of a horror movie in there because it really transported me down into the mine. I've never seen a coal mining movie where I really felt like I was down there. Eddie, this project for you must have been a real labor of love because you grew up in West Virginia, right?
Yes.
Tell me how that childhood became an inspiration for this movie.
Growing up in West Virginia, coal mine accidents happen. So it's something that was sort of part of our life. Like, I'd say every year, 1 to 3 years, a big accident would happen, and, it's live on the news. And it's, very similar to, like, the space shuttle blew up. It's like a big event that really shakes our state, our region. So whenever these coal mine accidents would happen, it was just something that we always took very serious, and, it was noted, and everybody watched the news, and, it's just something that stuck with us. We grew up there, so.
How did you film these scenes? Did y'all actually go down into a mine? Was it filmed on a set? Maybe a combination of both? Because like I said, you're really transported in this movie.
What we did was we went underground at a real coal mine for 3 days and filmed real coal miners operating real equipment, and then went back to Atlanta and built a set that mimicked that coal mine, and then dressed our actors up in the same wardrobe that the real coal miners wore. So like when you see somebody operating a piece of equipment from the back or the side, it's the real coal miner. And then we cut to a close-up, and Naya Tabakaro did all of our visual effects, and she just cut out the coal miner and cut in our actor, and they just were on set doing basic motions like look up, look down,
Besides Eddie, has anybody been down in a coal mine before?
Every outs, not Clint, and I don't think Kevin was with us, but Mark and Terry were with us, and I brought them all to the coal mine we filmed at, and they got to go underground, so they can answer that really well.
Yeah, I guess we'll start with Terry. Terry, tell me about your experience going down to a coal mine for the first time.
Well, it's a remarkable experience because you don't realize how low the ceiling is. Most of the time when people think about mines, they think, it's you walk in and there's this kind of cavernous kind of feeling to it. That's not the case with coal mines. Coal mines don't go down and find caverns. Coal mines go into a mountain. And it's understood that, what was it, Eddie? Like every foot or every inch is $1 million or something like that. So if the coal mining concern has to cut space for a miner to stand up, they're losing money. So the ceilings of these things are about 36, 37 inches high. And you go in on what's called a man trip, and it's this very low kind of vehicle, and you lay down on this thing, and you can see that in Mine 9, and you travel for I think we traveled probably about 30-45 minutes when we were in Virginia to get down into the area through the mine where they're currently cutting coal, where the machinery is operating to grind the coal out of the seam. And so you're passing through this, and you can literally kind of reach up and touch the ceiling as you go by, and it's a stultifying, claustrophobic kind of feeling, to feel like there's so much earth, so much tonnage of geography and above you. Hey, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's one of the things you don't realize is that these miners are spending long shifts. I'm not sure if they do 12 or 14-hour shifts or something like that, where they literally cannot stand up. In order to stretch out, you have to lay down. In order to kind of be at your full height, you have to lay down, as counterintuitive as that sounds. But it was a fascinating day for sure, to get down into that mine and to see what these miners go through, and the very close quarters that they're working in.
Mark, what kind of feelings did you have while you were going down the hole?
I was trying to keep what was on the inside of my stomach inside of my stomach, pretty much. I had a few the night before, and I think that probably helped me, you know. It was kind of a sinking feeling, as Terry was saying, you know, as you're going in and you're going under. We had just probably signed our life away before you go down in there. You know, they give you all the different rules and escape hatches, and there's all these different things that go on, and so they kind of prep you for the worst. And you know, that's kind of their office that they work in every day. But for me, going down in there, it was surreal. You know, I knew that I was just going down for a little trip in there, so it was a different feeling than they have every single day. They live down there, you know, like Terry was saying, they use the bathroom, they eat the lunch down there, they go in and they stay in. And I had that in the back of my mind, but it was scary, and it was one of those things that you know, you kind of have to shut that side of your brain's thinking off when you're going down into that, because you're not going to turn back around, right? So as scared as I was determined not to overthink it. You know, I was just, it was kind of along for the ride in that respect, but scary, you know.
I can only imagine. I want to talk to Clint and Kevin next. I want to ask them about working on this set, because on the set, the ceilings were really low, and y'all also had some underwater scenes. I want to talk about the difficulty of filming those. Let's start with Clint.
Yes, the difficulty of the set was, of course, I didn't go down to the mines like the Terry and Mark and the rest of the guys. And but when I got there, I was so floored. It was so true to life that I mean, it's 3.5 foot, 4 foot ceilings that we're dealing with here, and of course, you know, and being honest with it, I mean, we get breaks and stuff like that. Like, you know, Kevin mentioned a while back, we were talking in another interview, and we're able to come out when we're hurt. You know, we're able to come out of this, and the set was amazing. I mean, it was so true to life. And Eddie and the production team, Tim Barrett, those guys, I mean, all those guys just really worked their tails off for it. And when I showed up, I was floored by it. And I was like, okay, I'm in for this thing. Here we go. And I tell you what, man, day 3, and I talk about this and everything, and it was really day 3, and I remember the moment, and I looked around at the guys, and I said, I don't know about you guys, but I'm hurting, man. I'm hurting. And here I am in pain, and I think and I feel that I'm in some decent shape. These guys do this every single day, and here I am, like, you know, I can take a break. I can go out of the set, you know, and like, whew, we got to stretch out. And, you know, I'm a tall guy, you know, 6'2", 3 or whatever it is, you know, I'm maybe shrinking by this time. But it was, you know, it really is. And we're average sized tall guys. And it's like, man, you're just down there and a hit. But it was just a beautiful set. But it was one of the most intense films I have ever done, and maybe possibly ever will do. I don't even know, but Eddie and his crew, man, they killed it, and I was so proud to be a part of that. Yeah,
I can imagine. I'm 6 foot, so to me, it just seemed completely backbreaking, especially for those guys that are down there for, you know, 12 hours a day. I can only imagine what the first week, you know, being down there would be like for them. Kevin, I want to talk to you about your experience working on this set and filming.
Yeah, I'm keeping my mic off and on. Sorry about that, Terry. I had a nice car that drove by. I'm trying to get outside in my backyard as much as I can because I'm going cabin fever here. So yeah, working. I think Clint said it right. I mean, sorry, Eddie, but my back is still messed up from this shoot. I mean, it is tore up every single day. I feel like I'm 80 years old. But having said that, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was an experience unlike I've ever been a part of. Coming together and you throw, a bunch of miners into a little box, and then you incorporate that with Matt Boyd. I don't know how in the world he got in there with this camera. I mean, it's to be able to lug that thing around with very, very little light was impressive in itself. And what was great about what Eddie and Tim and all these guys did when they built the set is if they wanted to shoot this angle, well, then, Matt's got to get in and get his angle. But instead of having to move everything around, it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle. They would just take part of the set off on this side, and Matt could go around and then film shooting down or whatever angle he needed. So it made it easier for the camera to maneuver. But when he got inside, I mean, it was like a sardine can. It was tight. It was tight quarters. But having said that, what made this film successful is everyone bought into it. Everyone knew that we're going into a small indie film. But when you see it, it's not a small indie film production, that's for sure.
No, it's incredible what y'all pulled off with the budget you had. I actually have a nerd question for Eddie right now. When you're filming the scenes in the cave, what kind of camera were you using? Because it must have been really tight quarters.
Alexa Mini is the only camera that has the ability to film in total darkness like that.
Oh, that's right. You have to have a low enough f-stop.
Yeah, and we had to use prime lenses, which made it very, very. It gave us the light we needed, but it was really slow to have to change a lens all the time.
Yeah, and we were also helping out Matt with the lighting. So it was everything that was going through our helmets was on camera. I mean, we had to shine it up. So we're not only doing that, but we're lighting the set for Matt. So we follow his direction and Eddie's direction, and just play off each other and see how.
Yeah, if somebody needed a backlight or something, Matt would just say, "Terry, turn your head," and film the back of this person.
Yeah.
They would do it all day long just to give him what he needs to have something.
Yeah, a big part of the set that we spent a lot of time in was to explain it for people. Probably several hundred square feet of a dirt floor with rocks, real and imagined, and then a low 36-inch ceiling. And we basically would kind of go in through a little hole at the end of the set and crawl in there. And Matt would be sitting on an apple box in there with a camera on his shoulder or sitting in his lap waiting for us. There might be a light in the corner kind of giving us some backlight. And then we're lighting each other with our headlamps. And we're literally duck walking through this set and would just spend hours in there. And, it's like in between takes, you just kind of lay down, just lay there in the dirt. It was a very interesting way to shoot. I mean, I'm thinking, when I signed on for Eddie, it's like, okay, yeah, it's going to be this like clamshell kind of thing where it's like, this is the ceiling of the mine and this is the back wall and this is the dirty floor. And we'll be sitting in here acting away. And then it'll be cameras and lights and craft service out here. Right. No, Eddie builds this mine hole. He says, okay, crawl in. That's where you're working today. And they built probably, I don't know what the yardage is in terms of tunnels you built for that thing. But it was a really remarkable set. The work that they did to put that thing together and to be able to shoot that is just, it's astounding to me to this day. And it's all, the proof is in the pudding. It's all right there in the movie. It's just a really beautiful piece of work.
Hey, John, if a lot of people go to the Facebook page, Eddie posted something on the Mine 9 Facebook page. He posted kind of like a behind the scenes of the set so people can actually go see what the set looks like. So it's really cool.
Okay, cool. I'll definitely link that below. And the attention and detail to the makeup too. I mean, y'all completely covered in filth. So I mean, it looked legit.
That's just how Clint looks. It's just
with the amount of dirt and like Terry says, the amount of lights that were in there, the practical lighting in the background that was used was very, very minimal. But Emily did an amazing job, I thought, on the makeup, and the way that Eddie in post, the way that the color grading worked, it worked perfectly. We could hardly see each other in daylight. I mean, our faces were just black. The only time you could see anything on your faces was you smiled, see your teeth. And so, you know, you worry about that transferring onto film. Are we going to be even seen in this movie? The way that Eddie did it, he knew what he was doing, and Matt knew what he was doing, and they knew what Emily was doing too. And I think it turned out just amazing.
It really did. Eddie, what was the greatest challenge for you filming this? Or maybe if everybody wants to join in, but what was the greatest challenge filming this movie?
Just the filming of it. Well, the first part, the biggest challenge was finding a coal mine that would actually let you on the property to film. It's a very dangerous job and occupation. Sorry. So it took me 10 years to find a coal mine that would even let me go on the property to film. So that took forever. And then it was just actually having to. I always say it's like making Mad Max in a Bean John Malkovich environment. And that's what it is. Having to look at these guys staring at me right now, not wanting to beat me up every day. The same with the crew, for making them work 5 days a week, 10, 12-hour days in that environment.
I love that element, the uncomfortability of it all. It just laid into the character and who we were and the job, the occupation that we were depicting too. It sometimes on sets you get to do things that you don't necessarily do in any other aspects of your life, and this would be no exception. It's like, you know, sometimes you have to, if it doesn't serve you, let it go. In this one, every little bit of pain that Clint and Terry and we were all feeling underneath there, Kevin with his back, you know, that's all real, and that was all stuff that we kind of embraced. So as big of a challenge as it was, I think it wouldn't have turned out the way it did if we weren't challenged in that regard. And like Kevin said, it's just something that you would never trade. You know, it's just a real honest experience. Is what we were able to. That was our playground, and it was transferred.
And I think, and we all often would speak amongst ourselves while we were, while we were working, that it's really the least we can do. Yeah, the discomfort was real. You know, the dirt that you just couldn't get out, the shit that ended up in your lungs at the end of every day, the sore knees and the bad back and all of that. I mean, we're saying that's the least we can do to honor and to actively and accurately portray these men and women who go down there and risk their lives every day so that we can throw a light switch, so that we can run our blender, so that we can, have AC to provide, as most of electrical production in this country is provided from coal burning power plants. So we need these people, and it's the least we could do to be a little uncomfortable for a little while, to portray them accurately.
And when Eddie, fortunately I was able to be a part of this project when it came my way. I think I feel like Eddie does on this. I have a moral obligation because I'm from West Virginia. Eddie's from West Virginia. So it's almost like if this is not done right, then we get egg on our face also in a home state capacity. And the best feeling I've ever seen is when you see a coal miner watch this movie and they give you the thumbs up and say, you know what, that was good. That's the best feeling that I've taken from this, knowing that people appreciate the movie. Granted, it's a movie. Eddie's taken multiple accidents and he's put them in and weaved them into this movie because all those things would not happen at once. But again, it's a theatrical film for entertainment. But these are all based on true stories. And just to be a part of something that's so real it was life-changing for me.
I want to give a special shout out to your special effects team because that amputation scene. Ugh. How did y'all accomplish that?
We cut Kevin's leg off with a shovel.
That's why his back's been hurting since.
It was I had no clue how they were going to pull it off. It's almost like if you wear a football shoulder pad and they just cut off the edge of the shoulder pad, like right in here, and I would take my arm and literally just wrap it as far as I could around the back of my shoulder. And this is my bad arm anyway. So they're really just pulling it as hard as we could without it popping. And then they had a strap over the top. And I mean, we shot that scene, I don't know, it was a 2-day scene we shot it. And it was, that was the most uncomfortable I was, because I had to, without giving everything away, having to crawl and having to show and having to balance yourself, and you can't see. I mean, literally that was a scene where everything was in my eyes and I couldn't see anything. And instead of me hitting marks, I remember all I had to do was count how many times I could crawl with my left hand to hit a certain spot that Matt wanted me to fall on for when I knocked my teeth out. And yeah, it was brutal. I mean, the makeup team, they just did an amazing job. We just, we're the puppets. They tell us what to do. They put us in what we need to wear. They, Eddie and them, to show us what to do. And we just try to do it to the best of our ability.
Yeah, you're just trying to survive in there. There was no acting necessary, really.
None.
And it was really a mixture of special effects on set and then post-production. Naite, our VFX suit, she added in a lot of blood and a lot of, I guess, debris. And then she actually extended the blades on the saw to make it actually look like it was going into the arm. So it was a mixture, as everything is on the film.
Yeah, you're right. It is a complete mixture. And I think one of the final parts of that mixture is really the sound, the industrial kind of gritty sounds that you have, but then also the incredible folk music. Tell me about putting the sound together for this, because it really elevates the character of the mine. And then how did you find or choose these folk songs? Are they real folk songs that the guys are singing while going down in the mine?
The first part about the sound, Michael Hardman's our sound designer, and he flew in from Los Angeles, and I took him underground to the coal mine as well, and he recorded for a day and a half. Then he went back to Bronson Caves in Los Angeles. And he went in there and recorded every single footstep, water drop. He watched the film and recorded everything. It was incredible. So that's what I brought him to the coal mine, let him see what it really sounded like, and then he went out and recorded everything individually. As far as the music, I'm an Appalachian history fanatic. So there's a gentleman by the name of Nimrod Workman. He was he was a coal miner who became an Appalachian ballad singer, and he taught himself how to sing in the coal mine because he started working in the coal mines at 8 years old. He taught himself to sing, to not be afraid. So that haunting sound is what I wanted, and it took me forever. So a lot of the songs are real songs, and they're all just really my father's friends. Like that West Virginia Coal Miner is my dad's friend's song. And then the other music that we had, I found a 20-year-old Appalachian folk singer who lives here in Atlanta, Georgia, named Max Godfrey. And he sounds like Nimrod Workman to me. And Nimrod was an 80-year-old person the first time he recorded a CD. But this guy, Max, could pull that off. And I brought him into a studio, and we sang and wrote for a couple days, and that's it.
What's been the reaction from the coal mining community after seeing this film?
Like, to me, it's about 70-30. A lot of coal miners like it because it's just something that shows them, not in a stereotypical way. But then there's always going to be a portion of people who, if there's any bad language, because it's, language gets them, drinking alcohol, using language and praying. Like, these are just things that I've learned after, Jon's character cusses a lot, and then he also prays. So, in that coal mining community, that's something that sort of threw them off a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then just knowing that a methane accident, when it happened during the flood accident, stuff like that. But it's not a documentary. So the 30% that have that opinion, they want it to be like a proper procedural, like Serpico or something like that. And it is to a certain degree. but not.
It was amazing when we premiered in West Virginia. What was that town, Kevin? What was the town?
It was at the Chuck Mathena Center in my hometown of Princeton, West Virginia.
That was just an amazing experience being there. I mean, people were in there in the mining uniforms, you know, just come straight from the mine. Some of them were going straight out back to the mine, having seen the film. People waited a couple of hours just to get a little opportunity to say how much it meant to them. A lot of them came up to us and they had family members that had died in Sago, uncles that had lost limbs. A gentleman came up to me, had his little voice box, and he told me that he had black lung, and he said he'd do it all over again. He said he'd do it all over again, just given another chance. And you know, they're such a proud people, and just, you know, the lineage that goes in it, and it was amazing to be there. And I thank Eddie for bringing us down to experience that with all the locals, and just speaks volumes that they stuck around, I think, for a couple of hours after.
Well, with so many people that were there at that premiere, that's what was touching, as you said, Mark, afterwards. Now, I knew a handful of those people of the 800 that showed up that night. And we sat there for hours and hours and hours, I think almost 2.5, 3 hours, just to talk to people. One lady brought her father's mining bucket for us to see. I mean, it was amazing, because these guys that Mark's talking about, most of them were in the movie. They were the guys doing the interviews at the end of the film. Mm-hmm. So for us, it was more exciting, I think, for us to meet them than it was for them to see the movie.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, Eddie, I really like that aspect that you put at the end of the title credits with the real coal miners. That was really cool.
They are the real heroes, you know, of it.
Absolutely, and they're the backbone of this country, or one of the backbones of this country, and really keeps it running, keeps our lights on. So I want to thank everybody.
And I just want to say real quick, the water scene was horrible.
Oh, yes.
Horrible to shoot. It was horrible.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Horrible situation. Well, I had to go under. I was horrible, you know, and I'm just saying, like, that was like, I mean, the whole thing was horrible. It was a horrible time to shoot. The whole thing was horrific. But the water scene, I mean, we're being dumped on, and we're in this, they had this huge water, whatever it was called, I don't even know. I felt like we were inside of a dumpster. And all the water came down on us, and we're underneath there. And so the death scene, we had to redo the death scene, redo it, and the water's coming at us. That was intense, man. So I just wanted to get that out there.
You don't have a bone to pick with Eddie right now, still, do you?
I love Eddie. I'm so fortunate. We're all so fortunate to be a part of this film, and you know, and hopefully everybody enjoys it on Netflix. And it was really cool experience.
Yeah, I miss you guys. Eddie, make another movie for us, huh?
Yeah, come on.
Doing it right now.
Perfect. The entire cast of My Nine. You can watch it now on Netflix. Thank you guys for joining me. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, John.
You too, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Love you guys.